Mi nombre es Ana, después de escuchar la historia de la señora Obanda. Señor Yang, ¿qué garantía nos ofrece usted de conservar nuestra vivienda pública al darnos voucher de sección 8?
So this is Anna. After hearing Sandra speak, Mr. Yang, what guarantee can you give us that we will be able to keep our public housing while with your plan to use Section 8 vouchers?
Is that the question?
Nosotros tenemos la experiencia que este programa no funciona y no funcionará. No es una solución definitiva. Ya no queremos más familias viviendo en las calles con sus niños.
In our experience, this is not a program that has worked, and it is not a program that will work, and therefore it is not an effective solution. We don't want more families on the street with their kids.
There are three things that are making us miserable in America right now: housing, education, and healthcare, where they just all keep getting more and more expensive, even though our wages stay essentially the same. And I agree with you that existing responses to public housing in terms of the vouchers, you know that there's like a multi-year-long wait list oftentimes, that the programs aren't responsive to changes in circumstance, that you end up with families on the street. My flagship proposal is to put $1,000 a month into the hands of every single American, which is going to be a game changer on the housing level for everybody. Now, it also helps address the homelessness crisis in this country right now, where when you find a homeless person, you know what the nonprofit does or the agency does, the first thing? What they do is they try and figure out whether there are any government programs that this person actually can receive revenue from. So if everyone's entitled to $1,000 a month, then all of a sudden, we all have the power to make sure that there's housing that actually provides for our needs in the community in a way that's not top-down, but it's bottom-up. Because if you have 2 adults in a household that's $24,000 a year, all of a sudden your ability to find housing for your family will get much, much higher. I'm for affordable housing solutions from the top-down and the bottom-up, but I don't think top-down solutions work individually.
The question's really about the guarantee to keep a public housing, allow people to continue living in public housing. And getting $1,000 a month isn't guaranteeing someone that they're going to be able to stay in public housing. Oh. Right now, there's a huge issue between the private sector and the public sector in housing. And a huge part as to why Section 8 vouchers don't work is because it pushes people into the private sector of housing.
I apologize for misunderstanding the question. If you're in public housing, you should know that that home is yours and that nothing is going to happen to you, 100%. I agree with that. 100%, and to the extent that that's happening to people, it's unconscionable. Your home is yours, you're in public housing. Just because some rich developer thinks they can make more money does not mean that you should lose your home.
So we have, yeah, that's a really great question. So even if we were to have a $1,000 voucher, what happens when rent goes up?
Well, first, it's not a $1,000 voucher, it's $1,000 in cash. You can do whatever you'd like with that cash. And to the extent, if your landlord decides to stick it to you, then 2 things. Number one, you can always say, look, maybe I can find a landlord that's not going to try and gouge me. But number 2, if all of the landlords try and gouge you, then 3 or 4 of you get together and you say, you know what, 4 of us, that's $4,000 a month. That's enough for us to get a fixer-upper and start being much more flexible in the way that you can actually not get exploited by the landlords. Because right now, again, the landlords do have way too much power, and the way to balance it out is just to put buying power into our hands.
All right, thank you. And also in our state, it's important to be mindful that even if we all came together with our $4,000, multiple families living in one home is still a form of homelessness because we all don't have access to rooms. So but I want to